Life often throws us curveballs, and relationships can sometimes be the hardest of all to navigate. When a man hurts you, it can feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But what if you could use that pain to fuel your strength instead? What if, instead of giving in to despair, you chose a path of empowerment? The key to truly overcoming hurt lies not in revenge, but in something far more powerful: confusion. By using tactics that challenge the way he views you, you can regain control of your life and turn the situation on its head. This isn't about being manipulative. It's about taking back your power and teaching him a lesson he will never forget. When a man hurts you, the first instinct might be to seek validation from him to get him to understand the pain he's caused. But you don't need his approval to heal. The most powerful tactic you can use is to become emotionally independent. Show him that his actions no longer have the ability to control your feeling. This emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't care or that you've become cold-hearted. It means you've realized your worth is not defined by his action. By focusing on yourself and your own emotional well-being, you send a message to him. Your happiness and peace are yours to protect, and no one, not even him, can take that away from you. Emotional detachment can be a challenge, especially if you've invested a lot of love and energy into the relationship. But it's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about not letting them dictate your reaction. When he expects you to be crushed or to beg for attention, shock him with your resilience. Let him see that you are strong enough to stand on your own without needing him to complete you. In doing so, you confuse him in the most profound way, because he's been conditioned to expect emotional reactions, and when they don't come, he's left wondering what happened to the version of you he thought he knew. The power of silence is often underestimated. When he hurts you, silence speaks louder than any words you could ever say. Don't respond immediately to his apologies or attempts to make things right. Instead, let the silence linger. This silence is not a punishment, it's a tool of self-respect. By giving yourself the space to heal and reflect, you show that your peace is not up for negotiation. It sends a clear message that you don't need his words to validate your worth. The silence makes him question his own actions and whether he's truly worthy of your time and attention. Alongside silence, the element of mystery can be incredibly effective. After he's hurt you, one of the most powerful things you can do is stop showing him exactly how you feel. Instead, keep him guessing. Instead of being open and transparent, which might be expected, create an air of intrigue about your emotions. When he realizes he can no longer read you or predict your next move, confusion takes root. It's like flipping the script and taking control of the narrative. He no longer knows how to manipulate you because you've become an enigma that challenges his perception of what he thought he understood about you. One of the biggest mistakes many people make when hurt in a relationship is clinging to the hope that things will go back to how they once were. They invest in the fantasy that the pain will somehow subside and the love will return. But when a man hurts you, this is the perfect opportunity to break free from this toxic mindset. Don't waste your energy hoping for a return to the past. Instead, focus on creating a future for yourself that is independent of him. Show him that you are not reliant on him for your happiness, and in doing so, you confuse him. He will be left questioning whether he was ever truly the one you needed, or if you were always capable of thriving without him. The act of taking space is another tactic that will leave him baffled. When hurt in a relationship, it's common to want to confront the issue head-on, to express your anger or sadness. But instead of falling into this emotional trap, take a step back. By pulling away from him, you make it clear that you are not afraid to walk away from anything that no longer serves you. This space gives you the opportunity to reflect, heal, and regain your strength. It also serves as a reminder to him that you won't tolerate being hurt, and you have the power to distance yourself when necessary. This space forces him to reckon with his actions and the fact that you may not need him as much as he thought. Empower yourself by setting new boundaries. Boundaries are not about keeping him out. They're about protecting your own well-being. When you've been hurt, it's the perfect time to reevaluate your limits. You don't need to be a doormat for anyone, not even someone you love. When you establish strong boundaries, you show him that you won't tolerate mistreatment, and this confuses him. He may have thought he could walk all over you, but now he realizes that you are no longer the person who will let that happen. Setting clear boundaries empowers you and makes him aware that the dynamic of the relationship has shifted. One of the most powerful things you can do after being hurt is to turn the focus back on yourself. Invest time and energy into things that make you feel alive, things that make you feel proud and fulfilled. Rediscover hobbies, take up new challenges, or simply focus on self-care. As you grow stronger and more independent, he will notice a shift in your energy. He may start to wonder what happened to the version of you that was so dependent on his validation. This change in you will make him question whether he still has the same influence over you. And this confusion is exactly what you want to remind him, that you are your own person, not defined by the relationship. Another tactic that can truly leave him speechless is to find strength in forgiveness. Now, this doesn't mean you're excusing his actions, but forgiveness is a powerful tool for emotional freedom. When you forgive, you free yourself from the chains of resentment and hurt. You refuse to let his actions control your emotions. The key here is not forgiveness for his benefit, but for yours. It's about letting go of the pain that binds you. By showing him that you can forgive without needing him to ask for it, you take the power back into your hand. This will confuse him because he may not understand how you could release the pain so easily. But in reality, you're not releasing him. You're releasing yourself. After being hurt, many people try to explain, argue, or justify their feelings to the other person. But one of the most powerful tactics you can use is to simply walk away from that conversation. When you choose not to engage, when you refuse to get sucked into an emotional back and forth, you confuse him. He expects you to fight for his attention, but instead you fight for your peace. You show him that you are no longer willing to argue over someone who has shown no respect for your feelings. This tactic leaves him questioning his place in your life, and it forces him to confront the fact that he can no longer control you with emotional manipulation. Another strategy to consider is to create new routines or habits that don't involve him. When a man hurts you, one of the most empowering things you can do is focus on creating a life that doesn't revolve around him. Start doing things for yourself, things that bring you joy, things that help you grow as a person. Whether it's taking up new activities, meeting new people, or simply spending time on your personal goals, this new energy will be difficult for him to ignore. He might even feel left out or forgotten, which is exactly the point. You are building a life that he is no longer a part of. And this will confuse him because it forces him to confront the reality that you can thrive without him. Redirecting your focus onto your personal goals and dreams is another tactic that can truly shake things up. After a man hurts you, he might expect you to fall apart, but when you put all your energy into chasing your own ambitions, it leaves him confused. By achieving your goals and making progress in your life, you send a message that you are not defined by your relationship with him. He will begin to see you as someone who is independent and driven, and that can be disorienting for him. He might question why you no longer need him in the way you once did, and that uncertainty is a powerful tool. Sometimes the best response to a man who hurts you is to simply rise above it. Instead of getting bogged down in the details of the hurt or focusing on his shortcomings, focus on being the best version of yourself. Show him through your actions that you are not defined by his behavior. When you do this, you not only regain your dignity, but also force him to reckon with the fact that he no longer has the power to affect you. This will confuse him because it's not what he expected. Instead of being consumed by anger or pain, you rise, and that is the ultimate power move. Taking responsibility for your own happiness is another tactic that will surely leave him perplexed. When you take full ownership of your emotional state and refuse to let anyone else dictate how you feel, it sends a message that you are in control. After being hurt, this tactic can be incredibly powerful, because it shows him that you no longer need him to feel good about yourself. This shift in mindset will make him realize that he can't control your emotions the way he once did, and that uncertainty will challenge everything he thought he knew about you. Another important aspect of emotional healing is practicing mindfulness. When you focus on being present in the moment, rather than dwelling on past hurts or worrying about the future, you become less reactive to external situations. This mindfulness allows you to process your emotions in a healthy way without letting them control your actions. If he expects you to be emotionally frazzled after he's hurt you, your calmness and ability to remain grounded will be a shock to him. This inner peace confuses him because it shows him that your happiness doesn't depend on his actions, and that's a power he can't take from you. Rediscovering your passion for life after being hurt is another tactic that will leave him questioning everything. When you put your energy into things that truly excite you, you start to shine in ways he never expected. Whether it's pursuing a career goal, traveling, or learning new skills, this newfound passion for life shows him that you don't need him to feel alive. Your joy and fulfillment come from within, and this realization can be profoundly confusing to him. He might have thought he was the center of your universe, but now he sees that you are the one who controls your own happiness. Another powerful way to confuse a man is to focus on your own growth and self-improvement. When you hurt, it's easy to fall into a victim mentality, but instead, focus on becoming a better version of yourself. Whether it's improving your physical health, learning new things, or working on emotional healing, this pursuit of personal growth sends a clear message. You are not stagnant, and your pain is not going to define you. This personal development makes him realize that you don't need him to grow or improve your life, and that realization will leave him questioning his place in your journey. Sometimes the most powerful tactic after being hurt is to simply cut ties and walk away. This might be one of the hardest things to do, but it's also one of the most empowering. By choosing to walk away from someone who has hurt you, you reclaim your peace and send the message that you will no longer tolerate being mistreated. Walking away doesn't mean you failed. It means you've chosen yourself over someone who doesn't deserve your time. This will confuse him because he might have expected you to beg for his attention. But instead, you choose to walk away, knowing your worth. One of the most powerful ways to confuse a man is to simply focus on gratitude for the lesson learned. When you shift your perspective and see that pain is a lesson instead of a punishment, you take the power back. Gratitude for the experience allows you to move forward with a sense of strength and wisdom that you wouldn't have gained without the pain. He may have thought his actions would bring you down, but in reality they've only made you stronger and more capable. This shift in mindset will leave him confused because he won't understand how you could turn the hurt into a source of personal growth. Lastly, one of the most powerful ways to confuse a man is to simply become the person he never thought you would be. When he hurts you and you use that pain to transform into someone more confident, self-sufficient, and successful, it completely shifts the narrative. He might have expected you to crumble, but instead you rise. This dramatic change forces him to confront his own actions and forces him to ask himself why he ever thought he could hurt you without consequence. The mystery of your transformation will stay with him, and in the end, it's this transformation that will confuse him the most. One of the most profound tactics you can use when a man hurts you is to focus on your own self-worth. It's easy to let someone else's actions define how you feel about yourself, but true empowerment comes from realizing that you are enough just as you are. When you stop looking to him for validation and instead learn to validate yourself, you send a powerful message. You show him that you don't need his approval to feel worthy. And this confuses him because he may have expected you to be dependent on his opinions. But by building your own sense of self-esteem, you take back control of the situation, and he's left wondering what changed. Another powerful way to confuse him is by embracing your independence. This isn't just about being physically separate from him. It's about taking full ownership of your emotional, financial, and personal life. When you stop relying on him for emotional fulfillment or security, you remind him that you are capable of thriving on your own. This independence can shake him because he might have thought that you were emotionally tied to him. But now he sees that you're a whole person by yourself. Your strength and independence forces him to confront his own insecurity. And that confusion will make him question everything. Often, when hurt in a relationship, people feel the need to engage in an emotional confrontation to share how deeply they've been wounded. However, the real power lies in refraining from emotional outbursts. By choosing to respond with calmness instead of anger or sadness, you show him that his actions no longer have the power to provoke an emotional reaction in you. This confusion can be powerful, as he'll be left wondering how you've managed to remain so composed. He may have expected a dramatic reaction, but your calm presence leaves him in uncertainty, and it makes him question how you truly feel. Additionally, creating an aura of mystery around yourself can be incredibly effective. Instead of openly sharing your emotions or your thoughts with him, keep some parts of yourself hidden. This doesn't mean you have to be dishonest, But by choosing not to reveal everything, you create an air of intrigue. He will no longer know exactly what you're thinking or feeling, and that uncertainty is something he's not accustomed to. He might have thought he had you all figured out, but now he's forced to confront the fact that you've become an unpredictable and intriguing person in his life. When a man hurts you, one of the most powerful tactics is to stop giving him the power to dictate your mood. Instead of letting his actions decide how you feel, choose to embrace your own happiness. When you let go of the need for external validation, you send a message that you are the sole architect of your emotions. You teach him that your happiness is not up for negotiation. And that's a confusing concept for someone who's used to seeing you react to his behavior. This shift in perspective forces him to reconsider how much influence he truly has over you. Sometimes the most powerful tactic you can employ is to focus on forgiveness, but not in the way most people might expect. Forgiveness isn't about excusing his behavior or letting him off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of resentment. When you choose to forgive, you take back the power he once held over your emotions. By showing him that you are capable of forgiving without needing an apology, you send a message that you have transcended the hurt. He might be confused because he might think that forgiveness means weakness, but in reality, it's a sign of emotional strength and maturity. It's also important to remember that your worth isn't determined by the relationship. When you've been hurt, one of the most confusing tactics you can use is to completely detach your sense of identity from the relationship. You are not defined by the man who hurt you, and you certainly don't need him to feel whole. By choosing to pursue your passions, goals, and dreams without his input or support, you show him that you are more than just his partner. You are an individual with your own unique journey, and the moment you embrace that reality, the power shifts in your favor. There is a deep power in learning how to let go of control. When you've been hurt, it's tempting to try to fix the situation, to force an apology or an explanation. But sometimes the best way to regain your power is to let go of the need for answers. By releasing the desire to control the situation or force him to face his wrongs, you show that you no longer need his validation or closure. You create space for your own healing, and this will confuse him because he may have expected you to seek resolution. But by choosing to let go, you show him that your peace doesn't depend on his actions. One of the most effective tactics when hurt by a man is to focus on your inner peace. Rather than letting his actions dictate your emotional state, prioritize maintaining a sense of calm. Meditate, journal, or spend time in nature. Whatever it takes to regain your equilibrium. When you make peace a non-negotiable part of your life, he will be left perplexed. He'll wonder why his actions no longer affect you in the same way. This unexpected calmness makes him question his ability to manipulate your emotions, leaving him uncertain and confused. Another powerful tactic to confuse him is to stop engaging in the same patterns you once did. If he's used to you reacting to his behavior in certain ways, break the cycle by choosing a different response. For example, instead of arguing, choose to walk away or refuse to engage. This shift in behavior will leave him confused, as he no longer knows how to get a reaction from you. He may even try to provoke a response, but by remaining calm and composed, you assert your control over the situation and show him that you can no longer be manipulated by his action. When a man hurts you, it's easy to spiral into self-doubt, but one of the most powerful tactics you can use is to affirm your own value. Instead of focusing on his hurtful actions, remind yourself daily of your worth. Repeat positive affirmations and practice self-love. By strengthening your sense of self, you show him that his behavior has no impact on your intrinsic value. This shift in self-perception is confusing for him because he may have thought that by hurting you, he could lower your self-esteem. But by choosing to focus on your worth, you leave him with nothing to hold over your head. The power of self-care should never be underestimated, especially after you've been hurt. When a man causes you pain, the most rebellious thing you can do is to treat yourself with love and kindness. Pamper yourself, engage in activities that bring you joy, and prioritize your own well-being. This act of self-love will not only help you heal, but it will also leave him perplexed. He'll expect you to wallow in sadness or anger. But when he sees you embracing self-care, he will be left questioning how you've managed to rise above the hurt. One of the most powerful responses when a man hurts you is to create space for personal growth. When you distance yourself from the situation and focus on your own development, You show him that you are capable of moving forward without him. This growth could come in the form of pursuing your career, learning new skills, or even improving your physical health. As you become a stronger version of yourself, he will start to feel the absence of the person you once were. This newfound confidence and growth will confuse him because he will realize that he can no longer define your worth. Another powerful tactic to confuse him is to stop letting him dictate your emotional responses. Instead of reacting impulsively, take time to process your feelings. This emotional restraint forces him to confront the reality that he no longer has the ability to provoke your reactions. By pausing before you respond, you gain the upper hand in the situation, showing him that you are in control of your own emotions. This newfound emotional maturity can be disorienting for him, as he may have expected you to lash out. But instead, you remain calm and composed. Learning to set boundaries is an essential tactic when healing from emotional hurt. When you've been hurt, it's important to communicate clearly about what you will and will not tolerate. This doesn't mean you need to cut him off entirely unless that's what's best for you, but it does mean that you establish clear limits. When you set boundaries, you send a message that you value yourself and your needs above all else. This tactic will confuse him because he may have assumed that he could push your boundaries without consequences. But when you establish and enforce them, you regain your power. One of the most surprising tactics you can use when a man hurts you is to show gratitude for the lessons you've learned. Rather than staying in a victim mindset, choose to view the experience as an opportunity for personal growth. By embracing the lessons, you free yourself from the chains of resentment. This shift in perspective can confuse him because he may have expected you to remain angry or upset. But when you approach the situation with grace and acceptance, you demonstrate that you are not defined by your pain. And that's a power he can't take away from you. Another tactic that can confuse him is to take charge of your narrative. When he hurts you, it's easy to let the pain control your story. But instead of letting him define your narrative, take ownership of it. Share your story with others, create art, or write about your experiences. By taking control of your own narrative, you reclaim your power. He will be left perplexed, as he may have thought he could manipulate your story or even erase the impact of his actions. But by telling your truth, you stand firm in your own power and leave him questioning his role in your life. Sometimes, the most powerful tactic is simply walking away and embracing your own peace. When you step away from someone who has hurt you, you not only show him that you are no longer willing to tolerate mistreatment, but you also show yourself that you have the strength to move on. Walking away may confuse him, but it also forces him to reckon with his own actions. In choosing yourself, you demonstrate that your peace is worth more than any relationship, and that's a message he will never forget. One of the most powerful tactics you can use after being hurt is to take control of your emotions. Instead of letting anger or sadness overwhelm you, choose to respond with emotional intelligence. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, but rather allowing yourself to process them in a healthy way. When a man hurts you and you don't react impulsively, it confuses him because he expects you to act out. By taking time to breathe, reflect, and then choose your response carefully, you send a clear message that you are in control of your emotional state. This control over your emotions gives you a strength that he never anticipated. A powerful way to confuse him is by showing that you are not defined by the hurt. Too often, we let pain dictate who we are, but you have the power to transform that pain into power. When you walk away from a hurtful situation stronger than before, it leaves him in disbelief. He thought his actions would break you, but instead you rise from the ashes like a phoenix. By showing him that you are not defined by what he does to you, you confuse him because he realizes that he cannot control your strength, no matter how hard he tries. Learning to forgive without expecting an apology is another tactic that can leave him utterly confused. Forgiveness doesn't mean you condone his behavior, but it means you release the grip his actions have on you. By forgiving him without requiring an apology or closure, you take back your power. The moment you forgive, you show that you are in charge of your emotional well-being. He might expect you to hold on to resentment, but when you let go, it not only frees you, it forces him to wonder why his actions don't have the same power over you. A very effective way to confuse him is by becoming the best version of yourself, even in the face of pain. When he hurts you, don't retreat into self-doubt or self-pity. Instead, channel your energy into improving yourself. This could mean pursuing new hobbies, taking care of your health, or focusing on personal growth. By investing in yourself, you not only heal, but you become someone even more incredible than you were before. He will watch you transform, and this growth will confuse him because he might have expected you to stay stuck in the hurt. But your progress shows him that you are capable of thriving without him. Another powerful tactic is to focus on the power of your silence. When he hurts you, silence is often the most shocking response. Rather than seeking out confrontation or trying to express your hurt, remain silent and give yourself the time you need to heal. Silence communicates that you are not dependent on him for validation or closure. Your silence speaks volumes, and it forces him to reflect on his actions, as he wonders why he no longer has the power to provoke a response from you. Showing that you are capable of thriving on your own is a tactic that will confuse him, especially if he's used to seeing you in a dependent light. When you demonstrate that your happiness and success aren't tied to him, you take back your power. This independence is a gift that he didn't expect you to embrace so fully. It forces him to confront the fact that you are not relying on him to complete your life. Instead, you are building a life that is fulfilling and whole without needing him in the picture. A powerful way to regain control when you've been hurt is to refocus on your goals. When a man causes you pain, don't let it derail your ambitions. Instead, use it as fuel to push yourself harder toward your dreams. When he sees you achieving your goals, it confuses him because he realizes that his actions haven't stopped you from growing. Your focus on personal success becomes a reminder to him that you are unstoppable, and no matter what obstacles come your way. By shifting your energy from the pain to your passions, you show him that you will not be sidelined by his actions. One of the most powerful tactics to confuse him is to practice radical self-love. When you love yourself despite the hurt, it becomes clear that his actions cannot diminish your worth. Radical self-love means accepting yourself fully, including the parts of you that have been affected by the hurt. By embracing all of who you are, you send the message that you are complete with or without him. This love for yourself leaves him questioning how he ever thought he could define your value. He may have believed that your worth was tied to the relationship, but now he sees that your worth comes from within. The next powerful tactic involves being unapologetically yourself. After being hurt, you may feel tempted to apologize or shrink in order to avoid further conflict. But the real power lies in standing tall and embracing who you are, flaws and all. When you choose not to apologize for your existence or your feelings, you show him that you are no longer afraid to be yourself. This unshakable confidence in who you are will confuse him, because he might have thought he could make you feel small or insignificant. But instead, you stand firm in your authenticity. Another tactic that can leave him baffled is choosing to not engage in petty drama. After being hurt, it might be tempting to engage in arguments or to try to get back at him. But by choosing not to partake in drama, you reclaim your peace. When you walk away from petty confrontations and refuse to stoop to his level, you confuse him because he expects you to retaliate. Your ability to remain above the fray shows that you are in control of the situation, and that control is something he can no longer manipulate. Instead of remaining stuck in a cycle of pain and resentment, focus on living in the present moment. When a man hurts you, it's easy to replay the past and obsess over the hurt. But by choosing to live in the present, you show him that you are no longer bound by the past. When you move forward with grace and optimism, you confuse him because he may have expected you to stay emotionally tethered to the pain he caused. But by choosing to move forward, you show him that you are in control of your own journey. An incredible tactic for regaining your power is to stop seeking answers from him. After being hurt, the need for closure can be overwhelming. But the moment you stop seeking answers from him, you demonstrate that you no longer need him to fix what he broke. By refusing to ask for validation or clarification from him, you show him that you are not reliant on him for your emotional healing. This can be confusing to him because he may have expected you to chase him for an explanation, but instead, you choose to heal on your own terms. Another powerful tactic is to show resilience. When he hurts you, it's easy to stay in a state of despair, but resilience is one of the most attractive qualities you can cultivate. By showing him that you are capable of bouncing back from adversity, you send the message that you are unbreakable. Resilience confuses him because he might have expected you to collapse under the weight of his actions. but instead you rise stronger and more determined. And this resilience leaves him questioning his own ability to hurt you. Sometimes, the best way to confuse a man is to simply stop caring what he thinks. After being hurt, many people focus on proving themselves to the other person, but real empowerment comes from letting go of the need for his approval. When you stop caring about his opinion, you free yourself from the chains of insecurity. This confidence in your own worth will confuse him because he's been conditioned to think he holds the power over your feelings. When you let go of that need, you show him that his opinion no longer has the influence it once did. Another powerful tactic to confuse him is to stop over-explaining yourself. When a man hurts you, it's tempting to justify your feelings and actions, but real power comes from saying what you need to say and then leaving it at that. You don't owe him an explanation for your emotions or your decisions. By becoming more concise and clear in your communication, you demonstrate that you are not trying to convince him of your worth, you simply are, and that in itself is enough. When dealing with hurt, one of the most powerful things you can do is to redirect your energy into something positive. Whether it's helping others, investing in your career, or pursuing a personal project, this redirection will leave him perplexed. He might expect you to stay mired in negativity, but when you shift your focus to growth and positivity, you confuse him. Your ability to move on and thrive in the face of adversity is a testament to your strength, and this will leave him wondering why his actions didn't have the intended effect. A great way to regain your power is by becoming emotionally self-sufficient. Instead of relying on him to make you feel secure or loved, learn to fill those needs yourself. This emotional independence not only empowers you, but it also confuses him. He may have thought he could be the source of your happiness, but when you no longer look to him for validation, you shift the power dynamic. This newfound independence is something he will have to reckon with. Embracing your own worth and refusing to let someone else's behavior determine how you feel is a powerful tactic. When you stop letting his actions dictate your emotional state, you confuse him because you show him that you are not his to control. Your self-worth comes from within, and it doesn't rely on his approval or affection. This self-assurance forces him to confront the fact that you are not dependent on him to feel complete. When a man hurts you, one of the most powerful things you can do is to refuse to engage in negative self-talk. It's easy to start blaming yourself or questioning your worth when someone mistreats you. But by refusing to do this, you take control of your narrative. Instead of focusing on your mistakes or flaws, turn your attention to your strengths and the lessons you've learned. This tactic will confuse him because he may have expected you to wallow in guilt or self-doubt. But instead you rise with confidence and clarity, reminding yourself that you are worthy of love and respect regardless of his actions. Another powerful way to confuse him is to stop chasing after the relationship and start chasing after your own dreams. When you shift your focus to your personal ambitions, you send the message that you no longer need him to feel fulfilled. This new sense of purpose will leave him perplexed because he might have expected you to chase him for attention or validation. But when he sees you passionately pursuing your goals without looking back, it forces him to realize that you can thrive without him by your side. Embracing your own vulnerability is a tactic that can confuse him in a way that is empowering for you. It may seem counterintuitive, but being open and vulnerable allows you to reclaim your power. Instead of hiding your emotions or suppressing your pain, allow yourself to feel fully, without shame or judgment. This vulnerability can be a form of strength, showing him that you are not afraid to show up as your true self. When you stop pretending that you are fine, you shift the dynamic, and he's left unsure of how to interact with someone who isn't afraid to be real. Sometimes the most powerful tactic you can use is to embrace solitude. After being hurt, the natural instinct may be to seek comfort in the presence of others, but the real power lies in learning to be alone and comfortable in your own company. By embracing solitude, you show him that you do not need his presence to feel whole. This independent energy confuses him because he thought your emotional fulfillment was tied to his presence. But when you create peace and contentment within yourself, you leave him with nothing to hold over you. A strong tactic when you've been hurt is to redefine what happiness means to you. Too often, we let others define our happiness, but true power comes from within. When you take charge of your own happiness and choose to find joy in your life, regardless of what's happening around you, you confuse. He may have expected you to be unhappy or lost without him, but instead you find peace in the simple things. This inner happiness radiates and shows him that your joy is not for him to give, and this can leave him feeling bewildered. Another way to regain your power and confuse him is by transforming your pain into purpose. Instead of staying stuck in the hurt, you channel your energy into something positive. This could be writing, starting a new project, or helping others who are going through similar struggles. When he sees you turning your pain into something productive, he's left wondering how you've managed to rise above the hurt. This shift not only helps you heal, but also shows him that his actions cannot define your path. One of the most powerful ways to confuse a man is to take the focus off him entirely. After being hurt, it's easy to obsess over his behavior. But by choosing to shift the focus back to yourself and your own growth, you send a clear message that you are no longer defined by him. This creates an emotional distance that confuses him because he might have thought you were still emotionally attached or reliant on him. But when you stop centering him in your thoughts and instead focus on your own progress, you regain control and take back your power. Setting firm boundaries is one of the most effective ways to regain your strength after being hurt. When you define what you will and won't tolerate in a relationship, you send a message that you value yourself. By establishing and maintaining these boundaries, you show him that his actions cannot dictate your emotional state. This tactic confuses him because he might have believed he could push your limits without consequences. But when you stand firm in your boundaries, you force him to respect you on a deeper level. Choosing to walk away when you've been hurt can be one of the most powerful actions you take. Walking away from a toxic situation doesn't mean you've given up. It means you've chosen to prioritize your own well-being. When you leave, it's a statement that you are not willing to accept anything less than respect and love. This decision can confuse him because he might have thought you would stay and tolerate his behavior. But when you leave, you take back control of your life. And this act of self-respect leaves him questioning why you no longer need him. One tactic that can really throw him off is to embrace your sense of adventure. Often, when we're hurt, we retreat and isolate ourselves. However, by seeking new experiences, new people, and new opportunities, you show him that your life goes on without him. Whether it's traveling to a new place or pursuing a new hobby, your adventurous spirit confuses him because he sees that you are not stuck in the past. This shift shows him that you are capable of thriving in new environments and your journey is far from over. It's incredibly powerful to learn how to detach emotionally from someone who has hurt you. Detachment doesn't mean that you no longer care, but it means that you have taken back the emotional control that was lost in the relationship. When you stop being emotionally reactive to his actions, you demonstrate that you are in charge of your feelings. This detachment leaves him confused because he no longer knows how to trigger a reaction from you. It forces him to confront the fact that his emotional hold on you has been broken. Sometimes, the most powerful tactic is simply to refuse to be a victim. After being hurt, many people allow themselves to stay in a victim mentality, but this only gives away your power. When you refuse to play the victim and instead choose to embrace your strength, you take back control of your story. This shift in mindset confuses him because he may have expected you to stay down. But when you rise above the hurt, you show him that you are stronger than anything he could do to you. When you focus on cultivating your peace, you regain a sense of control. By surrounding yourself with positive influences, setting time for meditation or mindfulness, and learning to protect your energy, you create an environment of peace within yourself. This peaceful presence confuses him because he might have thought that he could disrupt your peace. But when you create and protect it, you show him that no external circumstance, not even his actions, can take away your inner calm. A great tactic for confusion is to be unapologetically ambitious. When a man hurts you, it's easy to feel like your dreams are irrelevant or unimportant. But when you continue to chase your ambitions, regardless of the pain you feel, you send a message of strength and resilience. When he sees you working towards your goals with relentless determination, he can't help but be thrown off balance. He thought he could derail your plans, but instead, you're using your pain as fuel to propel you forward. Another powerful tactic to regain control is to take time for self-reflection. After being hurt, it's important to look inward and ask yourself why you allowed yourself to be in that situation. Self-reflection helps you grow and learn from the experience. It empowers you to make better choices in the future and strengthens your resolve. This self-awareness can confuse him because he may have expected you to focus solely on him, but instead you focus on your own growth and healing. By embracing your independence, you demonstrate that you are whole on your own. When you focus on your own needs and desires, you take the emotional weight off him. This newfound independence confuses him because he may have thought that you needed him to feel complete. But when you embrace your independence and focus on your personal growth, you show him that you are more than capable of living a full and fulfilling life on your own. Taking time to rebuild your self-esteem after being hurt is an essential tactic. When you focus on improving your self-image, you regain your inner strength. Whether it's through self-care practices, therapy, or personal achievements, boosting your self-esteem will confuse him because he might have thought that his actions would diminish your confidence. But when he sees you rising up, stronger and more confident than before, it leaves him wondering how he could have ever underestimated your strength. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do when a man hurts you is to surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. This support network acts as a reminder that you are loved and valued. When he sees you thriving with the support of others, he may be confused because he thought his hurtful actions would isolate you. But instead, you create a network of love and care, showing him that no matter what he does, you are never truly alone. One of the most powerful tactics you can use after being hurt is to embrace the power of transformation. When life presents challenges, especially emotional pain, you have the choice to either let it break you or let it shape you into a stronger person. Instead of staying stuck in the hurt, allow yourself to evolve. By transforming the pain into a stepping stone for growth, you confuse him because he expected you to remain the same person, weighed down by sorrow. Instead, you rise with newfound wisdom and strength, showing him that no setback can define you. A key tactic is learning to take responsibility for your own happiness. When you stop relying on someone else for your emotional well-being, you regain power over your life. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that someone else holds the key to your joy, but the truth is that happiness comes from within. By taking charge of your own happiness, you show him that you are not dependent on his actions for emotional fulfillment. This makes it clear that his behavior doesn't have the power to shake your foundation. One of the most confusing tactics you can use is to simply live your life as though you have nothing to prove. When you stop seeking validation from others, especially from him, you reclaim your power. Many people spend their lives trying to earn the approval of others. But by living authentically and true to yourself, you send a powerful message. You confuse him because he might have expected you to need his approval. But when you act as though it's irrelevant, he's left questioning how he ever thought he could control your worth. Taking back your power means rediscovering your passion for life. When you've been hurt, it's easy to lose sight of the things that once brought you joy. But by reconnecting with your passions, whether it's a hobby, a career goal, or a dream you've put on hold, you show him that your happiness is not tied to him. This renewed energy confuses him because he believed his actions would dim your light. Instead, your passion burns brighter, leaving him wondering how you've managed to rise above the hurt. Another powerful tactic is to set clear and healthy expectations for yourself moving forward. After being hurt, it's easy to lower your standards or compromise your values. But when you set clear boundaries and expectations for your life and relationships, you regain control over what you accept. This makes it clear that you will not settle for anything less than respect and love. When you enforce these expectations, you confuse him because he might have believed he could push your limits, but now he sees that you are unwilling to compromise. One of the most effective ways to regain your power is to invest in your mental health. When you've been hurt, it's easy to neglect your emotional and mental well-being. However, taking the time to care for your mind, through therapy, journaling, meditation, or simply taking breaks, allows you to rebuild your inner strength. When he sees you prioritizing your mental health, it confuses him because he might have expected you to be emotionally fragile. Instead, you prove that your mental and emotional resilience is your greatest asset. A tactic that leaves a lasting impression is to practice patience with yourself. Healing after being hurt takes time, and it's important to give yourself the grace to heal at your own pace. Instead of rushing the process or suppressing your emotions, take the time to work through your feelings. When you allow yourself this space, you show him that you are not in a hurry to move on. This patience with yourself shows that you are taking care of your heart, and this can confuse him because he might have expected you to hurry up and get over it. A great tactic is to embrace the concept of detachment, not only emotionally but also from the need for closure. When someone hurts you, the desire for closure can be overwhelming. But true power comes from the ability to find peace without needing someone else's explanation or apology. When you let go of the need for closure, you free yourself from the emotional grip the situation has over you. He might expect you to chase answers, but when you don't, it forces him to reckon with the fact that you no longer need his validation to heal. One of the most powerful ways to confuse him is by showing him that you are fully capable of moving forward without him. Sometimes, the best way to respond to hurt is to show that your life is richer and fuller with or without him. Whether it's taking up new challenges, embracing new relationships, or pursuing new dreams, your ability to move forward confuses him because he might have thought you'd be stuck in the past. But when he sees you living your life to the fullest, it leaves him questioning how he could have ever thought you were dependent on him for happiness. When a man hurts you, the most confusing thing you can do is to show grace and dignity in the face of adversity. Rather than responding with anger or bitterness, take the high road. Show that you are emotionally mature and capable of handling the situation with respect and calm. This dignified response confuses him because he might have expected you to retaliate or lash out. But when you choose to respond with grace, you show him that your worth is not determined by his behavior. Another powerful tactic is to become someone who inspires others. When you've been hurt, it's easy to retreat and hide, but instead choose to be a beacon of strength for others. When you use your experience to inspire others who have been through similar situations, you not only help yourself heal, but also shift the focus away from him. This ability to turn your pain into a source of inspiration leaves him confused, because he never expected you to rise up and become someone who helps others through their struggles. When you stop looking for external validation and start trusting your own intuition, you regain control of your life. Your intuition is one of the most powerful tools you have, and when you learn to trust it, you can navigate through pain with confidence. By trusting yourself and your decisions, you confuse him because he might have expected you to seek his approval or advice. But when you rely on your inner wisdom, you show him that you don't need anyone to tell you what is best for you. A great tactic is to stop explaining yourself. After being hurt, it can feel like you need to justify your feelings or actions, but the truth is that you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you feel. By choosing not to over-explain yourself, you show that you are confident in your decisions and emotions. This leaves him confused because he might have expected you to seek validation, but instead, you show him that you don't need anyone else to understand your journey. Choosing to heal through self-care is another powerful tactic. Whether it's taking long baths, spending time in nature, engaging in activities that bring you peace, or treating yourself to something special, self-care is essential to regaining your strength. By prioritizing your healing, you show him that you are worth the effort it takes to care for yourself. This focus on self-love confuses him because he might have expected you to stay focused on the hurt he caused. But instead, you focus on your own well-being. One of the best ways to confuse him is by refusing to be passive. After being hurt, it's easy to sit back and let things happen to you. But the real power lies in taking an active role in your life. Whether it's pursuing new goals, building new habits, or creating a life that makes you proud, your active engagement in your own life sends the message that you are in control. This initiative confuses him because he might have expected you to feel helpless, but instead you take charge and lead your own journey. Another powerful tactic is to show him that you are grateful for the lessons even in pain. When you can find gratitude in the experience, it shows that you are not a victim of your circumstances. By turning your hurt into a lesson, you show him that you are growing, learning, and evolving. This perspective forces him to wonder how you can stay so positive despite the challenges. And it confuses him because he expected the pain to defeat you, but instead, you use it as fuel for personal growth. Lastly, an incredibly powerful tactic is simply to choose to be at peace. When everything around you is chaotic and painful, choosing peace is an act of power. By cultivating a calm, peaceful demeanor, you show him that his actions no longer have the ability to disturb your inner peace. This peace confuses him because he might have expected you to be angry, upset, or lost. But when you show him that nothing can disturb your peace, you take back control and he's left questioning why his actions no longer affect you.